All right, well, with that done, let's go back in time a little bit. Let's talk about Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes remake. This one came out in 2001, done by Burton, stars Mark Wahlberg, Helena Bonham Carter, Tim Roth, Michael Clark Duncan, Paul Giamatti, Estella Warren, Chris Christopherson, a few others. And the synopsis is in 2029, an Air Force astronaut crash lands on a mysterious planet where evolved talking apes dominate a race of primitive humans. I didn't see this one probably until I'd seen all the other films, both the new trilogy and then the original franchise, because I had heard this one was like, all right, this is a low point for Tim Burton. It's the worst one. It's unnecessary. Marked the decline of Tim Burton, and I just put it off for a long, long time and finally got around to watching it. And it was probably the last Tim Burton movie that I hadn't seen up to that point as well. And I don't think I have a new take on it for you. I think it is pretty bad. I don't think it's horrible. I don't think it's as bad as some people make it out to be. I think it's passable, but it does feel wholly unnecessary. Mark Wahlberg, terrible in the movie. He's very miscast, and I think that it is good that he has figured out what works for him in terms of performance, because he definitely has some duds in his career in terms of just not being comfortable in a role. And this is one of them. He's so bland, and the writing itself is not great, but he is not very good in the movie. He's not compelling as a hero, not very charismatic, not emotionally compelling, and overall feels quite insincere. But before I go into all the bad stuff, one thing that is amazing that's seems unanimous is the makeup. The makeup costume design is fantastic. One of the best examples of practical effects and makeup for a sci-fi film like this. So that I will always appreciate. I will always praise. It's not one I ever feel the need to go back to unless I'm reviewing it like I am for this. But that makeup is spot on, some of Tim Burton's best in terms of the detail, the overall design. It's really, really good. But sadly, the rest of the movie, not up to snuff in that way. Everybody else in the movie is all right. Paul Giamatti's fun. Helena Bonham Carter's good. Her relationship with Mark Wahlberg is a little weird. But the rest of the movie feels so flat. And biggest problem by far is the whole movie feels quite dull. Like there's not good suspense. There's not good emotion. The final action sequence is very underwhelming, and considering the budget, it should feel way more epic, more grand, and way more in line with something like the new trilogy. But it feels like it has about a fifth of that budget in terms of the scale, the overall grandness, and scope of the world. It feels very small and not in an interesting way. It feels quite lazy and not fleshed out, not rich in lore like the originals are and like the new trilogy is. And I guess to sum it up in short, long story short, quite forgettable, quite flatlined for the most part. There's not really many scenes that I think, oh, I really love that, or I didn't love the movie, but this scene was really good, or that performance was really good. It's all very average at best. And I fully agree, sadly, with the reputation that it has by most. It's one of Tim Burton's worst, and I do think in some ways it is the start of the decline of Tim Burton, because while I do love a lot of his recent movies, there is around this time, for whatever reason, a big difference in quality, and I guess you could call it creativity in his movies. And I feel like this was a bit of a stepping stone, and also Danny Elfman in a way, which is too bad because I'm not against them remaking this movie or the original. I'm not against that in any way, or any movie. Like, if you can do it well, you can do a new take, you can add this or that, do it. But it is even more shocking that Tim Burton produced this movie, because you would think of all the people in Hollywood at the time, Tim Burton would be a great choice for this. And he does add certain Burton isms, but not much and not enough to really elevate it to be anything interesting, anything memorable, just a little sleep inducing at times. But I am still a defender of it to a certain degree. I would put it probably at the very bottom, or at least second from the bottom of the whole franchise. So not one that you need to rush out and see, or if you haven't seen any of the Planet of the Apes movies, don't start with this one. I would probably either start with Rise or if not that, then the original. So yeah, I wish I could like it more and maybe over time it'll grow on me. I really, really doubt it, but I am in the majority here. It's not a very good movie, and I can fully see why it's been swept under the rug as it seems to have been over the years. So that one is a 3 out of 5.